asked me to help out with the tea, I said, you know, get someone who's more notable. When you have an MC, it's someone you should know that's associated in the valley with apple blossom and so on and so forth. You know, and I expected a reply that would be sympathetic and sugary and inflate my ego a bit. But instead it was very blunt. She says, "My dear, you're free." So that's why I'm here, I guess. Pretty well everyone in this room, this building today knows Effie, and I remember some time ago I had some association with the apple blossom, and I escorted one of the Town Princess candidates, and I was amazed at that time how Effie had this aura of positiveness, if there is such a word, just wherever she went, she didn't walk, she just seemed to flow through the room. Always a smile, and she left this trail of giggles and laughter as she went along that was infectious to everyone in the room. Last night, the reception was no exception. She was just wonderful, and she had her name tag, which just simply said Effie Scott. Everyone else had name tags of the years they were princess or queen or whatever, and I thought, my heavens, Effie deserves more than just Effie Scott. So when I went home, I did a name tag for Effie, and she forgot hers today, so it's only appropriate. And it's Effie Scott, Queen of Hantsport. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank some people, and throughout the program there's many people to thank because this is such a well-organized event, and a lot of people are involved in it. First of all, though, Carolyn Folker, here to my left, wife of our Mayor Wayne Folker, and Teresa McGinn, of course, our princess from 1994, who were the greeters as you walked in. Thank you very much for your applause. Right now, I'd like to introduce a special gentleman who's with us today. His name is Richard Levy. He is the Apple Blossom President of the Festival Committee. And if he would, I would like him to either stand at his seat or perhaps even come to the mic. It's some very special announcements. Please, Richard.
Mr. Chairman, Your Worship, Queen Annapolis the 62nd, princesses, judges, ladies and gentlemen, I am at the microphone because I received prior instructions from your boss, your wife. First of all, happy Centennial to Hantsport. This explains the rig that I'm wearing today. I told Teresa when she was asking me to come down, and I said I would be here and I would wear my outfit. I also told them at my table that I would explain the vest. For those of you who are observant, you will see that the vest is a wee bit on the tattered side. And I'm proud to wear this today because my grandfather was married in this probably about 100 years ago. And he was a much smaller man. I say gusset, will you understand? Speaking of gusset, these are one of these outfits that come with the Centennial outfits. They are made to fit a universality of men. There's lots of room in the belts, and you keep going with these teas and eating the Nanaimo bars and all that stuff. And I'm glad there's a gusset in those as well. You've certainly got an excellent turnout here this afternoon. And I would expect that probably we'll be seeing a turnout like this in a couple of the other communities. We're having a breakfast in Digby on the 28th of May on the Royal Tour, and they have a guest list of about 200 people. And my quick guess around here today is that you're about 200 strong. And it's certainly nice to see you all out in support of these young ladies this afternoon. I have to try to pay attention to my notes. I was in Bridgetown this morning, made notes, and then I told them I was too vain to take my glasses up there so I could read my notes, and I had to sort of scuffle along. So I printed a little bigger this time because I still don't want to put my glasses on. So anyhow, there's a few people here that I do want you to meet that you have not met officially yet, and perhaps you'll get a chance to speak to them before we depart this afternoon. But one of the ladies that I'm going to stand off the microphone for a minute or two now, and I'm going to bring this lady forward at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to welcome and hear a few words from Queen Annapolis of the 62nd, Sally Gray.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to thank those responsible for inviting myself as well as the other princesses and the Apple Blossom Festival Committee to this tea today. It's wonderful. The heritage theme is a wonderful idea. You can see it here. The girls look really great. Today I'm saying goodbye to my second lady in waiting, Teresa McGinn. And I'd like to let you know that she represented your community with great pride and great capability, which I'm sure you already know. I wish her the best, and I wish the rest of you the best of luck. And I invite all of you to attend the 63rd Apple Blossom Festival. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I would like to wish good luck to all these princesses here. We'll see one of you, for sure, up in Kentfield in a couple of weeks' time. And to all the residents in neighbor communities, and to you, Mayor Volker, I would like to wish you a very successful centennial. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. There's a special small person that should be introduced at this time, and I don't think she is here, but if she is, I apologize for not seeing you, but it's Princess Attendant this year, Alyssa Medina, who is the daughter of Henri and Debbie Medina. And are you here, Alyssa? No? Okay. Right now, I have a very special list in front of me. And last night I had the pleasure of attending a reception at the Churchill House where a great number of past princesses and queens returned. Was there a number, Debbie, as to how many were there? It was 30-some, yes. And this year will be the 36th princess from Hantsport. So incredible turnout. A wonderful time. The food was great. So was the wine. And everything else. The list I will read as I state the princess's name, if they would just wave, not required to stand. And if you would just hold your applause until the end, that would be great too. We won't have you warned up for the last person. 1935 was Evelyn Tatry Armstrong. 1938, Irene Smith MacGyver. 1939, Evelyn McKean Sutherland. Top. 1942, Joan Blackwood Fawcett, who went on to become Queen. 1947, Marion Taylor Brooks. 1948, Margaret Harvey Forsyth. 1950, Barbara Miller McKay. 1951, Adria Brown Woodman. 1952, Neva Eisner Bruce. And she has her fan club with her today. 1954, Pam Sigsworth Tracy. 1957, Betty Dale Wellwood Layton. 1958, Sharon Dewar Boyd. 1959, Elmer Rand Pickett. 1962, Mary Lou Dewar Matart. 1963, Bonnie Warner Ellis. 1964, Marie Beach. 1966, Patricia King Sarty. 1967, Doreen Banks Frazier. 1968, Heather Tracy Boudreau. 1970, Heather McKinnon Marshall. 1973, Peggy Clayton Sears. Take the back. 1975, Andrea Mount Salaz, one of the Mounts Renegades. 1976, Marianne McKinnon Boyd. 1977, Beverly Pettigrew Shea. There she is. 1978, Deborah Day. Up top. 1979, Patty Ann Casey Tamlin, who went on to become Queen. 1981, Jocelyn Elliott Robinson. Jocelyn's here somewhere. Way up top, next to the bar. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to throw away. You can come over from behind it now. 1982, Paulette Newcomb. 1984, Susan Crosby Cochran. 1986, Krista Bishop Miles. 1988, Barbara Halliburton. 1989, Lisa Vaughn. 1990, Joanne Caravan. 1991, Suanna Bishop McCormick. She's hiding, she didn't run away. 1993, Rebecca Price. There she is. And 1994's Princess Teresa McGinn. Please. And I was nudged before coming up by Debbie and threatened. There is an announcement for the princesses. Any of you who do not plan to attend tonight's events, please, before you leave today, see FU or Debbie and let them know. Thank you. A couple more thank yous. The judges, of course, for accepting our invitation to judge. Thank you very much. The judges today met with the candidates at the Churchill Manor, and they had an informal reception hosted by the mayor, like Carolyn. And thank you, Carolyn, for hosting the reception. Right now, one of the very special people at the table is going to come forward and speak to you, and of course that is Teresa McGinn, Princess Hantsport, 1994.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's hard to believe that a year has passed already. It just feels like only yesterday I had my own tea up at the Churchill House, which was so beautiful last year. I've enjoyed many festivals and many events over the year, but one of the highlights I think will be this weekend, with the Apple Blossom Princess Reunion. I've met many of the former princesses and have heard many funny stories. To see the pictures of them in their long white dresses and to compare the styles over the years, well, is quite interesting. Not to mention some of the hats and hairdos. Admiring these photos does not only bring back memories, but also reminds us of the long-standing traditions of the Apple Blossom Festival. White dresses, stoles, hats, pictures in apple orchards, parades, and the princesses still hold their hands high as we saw today and wave their hands saying, for example, "Good afternoon, my name is Teresa McGinn, and I'm proud to be representing the town of Hantsport." I can tell you from experience that each time a princess says this, the excitement and honor from saying it the first time never fades. To the former princesses, I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I hope you take the time to drive around Hantsport to see all the progress and change our town has enjoyed for its Centennial. Welcome. I would like to thank the Hantsport Firefighters Ladies Auxiliary for the tea today. It is simply beautiful. And I would also like to thank the auxiliary for being my original sponsors last year. I would also like to make a few other acknowledgments at this time as I'm giving my farewell speech this evening, so I have a few more hours to hold on to my title. To Debbie DeWolf-Scotch for being my chaperone a year ago with the Hantsport Firefighters Ladies Auxiliary, for all your advice, help, and wardrobe suggestions. It was greatly appreciated. To the Apple Blossom Festival Committee, a big thank you. The festival has given me many memories and many friends that I will always treasure forever. Sue Balcom and Florence Lutz, our pageant mothers, were great. They kept us on a tight schedule, knocking at our doors between 5:30 and 6 a.m. and trying to make sure that they were shut at midnight. Sometimes we weren't as cooperative as we should have been, especially in the morning, although sometimes I think they beg to differ. My attendant for the year was Matthew Balger, and I don't see Matthew here, but he was a special little guy and helped me out at the coronation ceremonies and attended with me on all my floats. And I actually got a lucky bonus because his younger brother, Mark, was also accompanied us on the float. So I had two little guys, which made it extra special. I still have many more thanks to make, but I'll save them for this evening. To the candidates, we have met several times, and you're all beautiful ladies. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Well, girls, this is the time you've been actually waiting for, and I was sitting at the table. Effie said, "Gosh, I'm nervous. Look at me shaking." It's not that bad. Just look at Effie over there when she smiles and everything will be fine, I guarantee you. I'm not sure how the order was determined for the presentation, if they arm wrestled or what, but first we'd like to welcome Miss Sherry Fletcher, and she is from the community of Mount Hantsport. Sherry.
Master of Ceremonies, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, fellow contestants, family and friends, good afternoon and welcome. I'm very honored to be in your presence today as a candidate for Princess Hantsport. The theme this year is military, in which we're commemorating the end of World War II. It's time to tell the stories. The Centennial is the cue, as happenings old and not so old are passing in review. This year is Centennial year, in which we're celebrating Hantsport's 100th birthday. After graduating from high school, I would like to attend Kingstown Community College and take a course in early childhood studies, do some traveling, and eventually have a family of my own. As of now, I'm working at Sobeys in Windsor part-time, consisting of nights and weekends. I enjoy my job very much, and I find that my job has many pros and cons. I find that working with the public at Sobeys gives me people with different ages and different personalities, but also allows me to see different walks of life. I'd like to say a very special thank you to Effie Scott and Teresa McGinn, thank you all, and Athena Zadig for the dresses, and my mom, thank you very much, I love you for all the help that you've given me. I'd like to say a very special thank you to Sean and Angie. I wish you guys the best of luck. The friendship has been great, and I hope we keep in touch. Thank you for coming and attending the tea today, and hope you all see you tonight. Thank you very much.
Shona Johnson, who is from the community of Bishopville, one of our big suburbs.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family, fellow candidates, honorable judges, and distinguished guests. I'm very honored to be here today before you as a candidate for Princess Hantsport in 1995. As a little girl, I've always dreamed about being a princess, as I think has everybody else. I remember sitting on the sides of Hantsport as the July 1st parade wandered through the town. I would watch to wait and see Princess Hantsport go by on a magnificent float in a beautiful gown. I think every little girl wanted to be in that white gown on that float with the flowing little things. I'm very honored. I'm very honored to have the opportunity to be part of all this excitement. It's an honor. Thank you. I've grown up in Hantsport all my life. Hantsport has given me some experiences that will carry on with me no matter where I go or what I do. Many of these experiences have come from attending Hantsport School. Even though we were small and still are small, It has given me the opportunities that's equal to any of that of the larger city. Many of these have come through sports. No matter where we went, either it was on the court, on the field, in the pool, or on the rink, the opposing team knew that they had competition. And I was always very honored and very, very proud to wear that Hantsport jersey. I hope that this pride can carry with me onto my university years. I've just completed my first year of many at Acadia University. After I'm finished, I would like to have achieved a PhD. I am very trembling. A PhD with clinical psychology, with a focus on troubled teens. I've also had the experience of growing up in Hantsport with a community that puts forth a feeling of a close-knit family, one that is not found very often. It's such a great feeling. As we all know, Hantsport is celebrating its 100th birthday, something that we should be very, very proud of. I'd like to say thanks to my heritage as well. I had a great-grandfather that came here, harvested the forest to supply our pulp boats that docked at a wharf. I had another great-grandfather who harvested the land to supply the cannery. I had another one who piloted the boats up and down the the Avon River. And I had another one who came here from northern New Brunswick to move a small family to work as a pulp maker, a paper maker at the Miners Basin Pulp and Power Company. To these guys, I'm very, very thankful, because they must have seen the splendor and the love in Hantsport.
Angie, it's your turn from Lockerville, or from Avonport, I'm sorry, just north of here, Angie Locker.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, Mrs. Wilbur, judges, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and fellow candidates. As Hattie Chittick once wrote in her book, Hantsport on Avon, there is only one Hantsport in all of the world. When the Indian giant Glooskap stood on Bloomington centuries ago and looked up and down the Avon River, the view pleased him so much he smiled. In his splendor, he was satisfied with the unbroken beauty of the winding river, its banks, and all the smaller rivers flowing into it. Hello, my name is Angie Lockhart, and I'm very proud and honored to be asked to run as a candidate for this year's Princess, especially being such a special centennial year. I'd like to start off by speaking of my plans for the future and why I've chosen this as a career. It has always been important to me that what I do as a career involves working with children. In the fall, I will be attending Annapolis campus in Middleton to study human services. I'd like to develop the skills to work with young children and young adults when they're struggling with life's problems. It has always been important to me to help children overcome their problems and help get families back on their feet again. Growing up, the Apple Blossom Festival was always very special to me. I was always more than delighted to take part in all of its festivities. And as you all know, this year's Apple Blossom theme involves military heritage. I feel it's very important that this theme reflects on all of our communities and towns. And this year, being the overall theme, it's only appropriate that we can really cherish Hantsport Centennial by turning back the pages of time and learning how Hantsport became what it is today. I'm sure much of Hantsport's community had to do with its development. Many of our ancestors settled and developed Hantsport to make it what it is today. I know I share in the heritage of Hantsport this year, for my Lockhart ancestor, Captain James Lockhart, was a shipbuilder in Avonport as well as a sea captain. And John Lockhart built a home on the banks of the Avon River known as the Old Red House. Our family has lived in the Avonport and Hantsport areas for more than 200 years. We should all feel proud for everything Hantsport has achieved over the past 100 years. Hantsport had a great contribution toward the war effort. During World War II, Hantsport sent more than 1/10 of its 900 people to serve. Some lives were sacrificed, but many became home heroes. Hantsport's also had a reputation of having had more master mariners than any other town of its size in the Dominion of Canada. Some of the biggest ships which sailed to all parts of the world were built and launched right here in Hantsport. And we cannot forget Hantsport's three industries: Miners Basin Pulp and Power, Fundy Gypsum Company, and Canadian Peace Fibre, which have been recognized by areas all over the world and have definitely helped put Hantsport on the map to make it what it is today. There is no doubt that Hantsport has much to celebrate this centennial year. Hantsport's small but prosperous town has largely contributed to the Annapolis Valley, and I'm sure people from all over will be more than delighted to take part in its birthday celebrations this year. Apple Blossom itself is a very memorable, festive, joyful time of the year, and makes us all pause and take a closer look at our beautiful valley, enjoy it, celebrate it, and appreciate it. Everyone living in the valley this year should feel especially lucky as we look around us at all the tragedies in all of the world, in Rwanda and Oklahoma, all the lives lost and all the families needing strength. We realize what a peaceful and fortunate area we live in, where children can be brought up in a safe environment and where family unity is strong. This year's festival should bring an even deeper meaning to what celebrating the Annapolis Valley is all about. I would like to once again thank the Town of Hantsport for giving me the chance to take part in such an event. I've gotten to know Sean and Sherry over the past few months, and they're both very special people. I'd like to wish them the best of luck, and I hope this year Hantsport has a chance to celebrate its beautiful town and have a very enjoyable centennial year as well. Thank you.
Very impressive, girls, very impressive. As I wander up to the mic with my meager notes and the ones that have been handed to me as I walk in, I'm embarrassed. That was excellent. Wonderful job. Best of wishes tonight. And I hope you enjoy everything that goes along with the festivities. Again, thank you very much. I have several groups and people that should be recognized and applauded for their efforts for this tea, and perhaps we'll give them one round at the end that they all deserved. And first of all, we can't forget and certainly must recognize the hard work by the Hantsport Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, who have hosted and catered for the tea, and of course the fire department for allowing the committee to use the facilities, the Apple Blossom Tea Committee, Jill Johnston, and who I've been her secretary for, and Tanya Clowry, who's sitting over here. The Reunion Committee, Effie Scott and Debbie DeWolf Scott. I'm sure you've seen these two ladies flowing around the dresses. The workers who have put in so much work today, and you can see them all up there. Thank you very much, everyone. The people of the town and the community for supporting the tea. So please give all of these wonderful individuals. Next, we're going to hear from a very distinguished person, our worship. And these notes were sitting at home one day, and one of my young fellows said, "Gosh, Daddy, I didn't know Uncle Wayne was in the Army." And I said, "Well, I don't think he was." "Well, you've got down here, he's a warship." I said, No. That's just a name we call the mayor." He said, "I'm never going to be mayor if they're going to call you names." Anyways, please welcome our mayor, Mr. Wayne Folk.
Thank you very much, Chairman Peter. Queen Annapolisa, the 62nd, candidates, Angie, Shauna, and Sherry, honorable judges, reunited princesses, Queen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. On behalf of the community of Hantsport, welcome to Princess 1994 Teresa. Our very sincere appreciation for an excellent job in the over the past 12 months. To our three charming and gracious candidates, thank you for being here and allowing us to share this time with you. I'm very much into genealogy, and I'm always talking about great-great-grandfathers and so on, and I think Shauna's got more grandfathers than I've got. My granddaughter, Darcy Kubler, is up on the parade there. She's trying to hide from me, but I'm always talking about great-great-grandfathers, and the only difference in our family from Shauna's is that when I mention great-grandfathers, the tears come to her eyes. She gets so fed up of hearing about it. To the candidates, we spared no expense this year because we flew in over 30 consultants that range back in the 30s, I guess, right up to the present day, so they're all there to advise and help you. Our sincere thanks to Joel Johnson and Tanya Lowry, co-chairing this tea this afternoon, and an excellent job, I must say, and also to the, again, I'd like to echo Peter's thanks to the ladies of the Firefighters Auxiliary. It's a great job, thank you. Thank you to the judges, and to the United Princesses, our sincere thanks for taking time to be here, making this a very special or extra special event from our Centennial perspective. I'd like to also thank the Reunion Princess Committee, Debbie DeWolf-Scott, and co-chairperson Effie Scott, my wife Carol served on that committee, and Faye McGinn as well, I guess, was on that committee. To Effie, I asked her last night how long she had been working on the Apple Blossom Festival. She said, "My dear, I planted the original apple trees." I'll give you an idea how long she's been working. I want to express my sincere appreciation to each and every one of you for taking the time to come here today, and with every event that goes on through our Centennial, it becomes more and more special. And I look forward to the next one, which is this evening, and I hope you'll all come back for that. Now I'd like at this time to present gifts to the three candidates. If you come forward, please. Again, thank you everybody, and it's just terrific to see the community. Hantsport is more than a town, it's a community. Princess Teresa from Hantsport itself, and Sherry from Mount Denson, Shauna from Bishopville, and Angie from Avonport. So the whole community is well represented, and we certainly appreciate the time you've taken. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, this concludes the tea, folks, and don't forget tonight the coronation at 7 o'clock here. Everyone is welcome. And again, past princesses, don't forget, if you cannot attend tonight's ceremonies, please be in touch with Effie or Debbie. Again, thanks to everyone. Good luck, girls, and hopefully we'll see everyone here tonight at 7. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Princess Hantsport 1994, again.
Good evening, everyone. I was just saying it was frightening enough this afternoon when I only had one of these to look at. It's terrifying tonight. But it's our pleasure to introduce the former princesses way back as far as 1935. We're very sorry. The first one, due to ill health, Princess Hantsport 1935, Evelyn Tattery Armstrong.
Now, before I read off the names of the ones that I have, I'd like to say a few words. And I'd like to thank Effie, Scott, and Teresa McGinn, Princess Hantsport 1994, for compiling our list of addresses and names so that we could get this whole show on the road. And also for their help in compiling any of the correspondence that went out as well. We attended an icebreaker last evening, and this morning we had a coffee party, and we were here at the tea this afternoon, and now we're at the coronation, and tomorrow we're going to be at a brunch. And I feel that the weekend has been extremely successful, and from the comments that I heard during the evening, and I just happened to jot down some of the ones I heard last night and this morning. You look great. This is wonderful. You've done a terrific job. You haven't changed a bit. I don't believe it. My primary teacher. Is Irene Smith here? I just have to see her. And then I've got to make plans to come back to the August reunion. That's the one I like the best. These comments, the smiles, and all the hugs certainly made all the hard work worthwhile. Princess Hantsport 1938, Irene McIver, was here with us last night, but not able to be with us today.
Evelyn McKean Sutherland, Princess Hantsport 1939. Hantsport was my birthplace and remains a town I enjoy visiting. While living on William Street, I taught for 2 years at Hantsporter. After that, I went to Windsor, then on to Bermuda for 3 years. I met and married a special Pictou Highlander, with whom I spent 47 happy years. 3 children and 5 grandchildren are my present treasures, and her favorite memories. The citizens of the town prepared a float, which required many hours of dedicated work. I truly appreciated this. She couldn't be with us this evening. No, she's not here. Princess Hantsport 1947, Marion Taylor Brooks. Marion, following graduation from Hantsport High School and Windsor Academy, took a medical technology course in Halifax. She worked as a medical technologist for over 30 years in Halifax, Sydney, and Yarmouth. In 1951, she married Bob Brooks, a professional photographer, and they had 2 children, Randy and Beth. Marion continues to enjoy fascinating travels and is active in community affairs in Halifax, where she and her husband reside, spending summers at their summer home in Yarmouth County. The 15th Apple Blossom Festival in 1947 was a gala year following the post-war era. However, there were still some shortages. She remembers borrowing a white fur cape from a neighbor, which had yellowed, and her mother was flooded with suggestions as how to whiten it. She remembers her mother beating it with cornmeal. There were only 9 princesses, and they had a wonderful time and were treated royally. They were chauffeured around in Hudson convertibles, escorted by Mounties in red serge. It was a weekend filled with spectacular events. One of her memories is that of having to eat a lobster in its shell at dinner while still under the watchful eyes of the judges. Since this was just her first cooked lobster, she remembers going to bed hungry that night. The grand parade was outstanding, and her father helped to build the float. She was on a big apple blossom. The coronation ceremony was held at Aldershot, where thousands of people gathered. On Apple Blossom Sunday, they went by train to Grand Pré for the festivities there. The apple blossoms were wonderful that year, and they were ushered around in Hudson convertibles for many photo opportunities. She thanks the town of Hantsport for all the wonderful memories of representing the town of Hantsport in 1947. Adria Brown Woodman, 1951, Princess Hantsport. Adria graduated from Windsor Academy and Normal College, taught school in Falmouth and Hantsport, married Earl Woodman in September 1951, have a son and daughter and 4 grandchildren, continued teaching in Hants County until 1963, graduated from Acadia University in '63 and moved to Berwick that year. Left teaching in 1971 and operated the Chick Fabric Shop until retirement in 1989. Moved to Black Rock on Bay of Fundy in '92 and now spend their winters in Arizona, the lucky people. Her favorite memories, gifts, tea parties, telegrams, flowers, and cards are just some examples of the many kindnesses and overwhelming support given to me by the people of Hantsport, whom I represented. I particularly remember the cheers, loyalty of grade 5 and 6 pupils, the support and help of Mayor Mrs. B.T. Smith, the shopping trip to Halifax with Mrs. R.A. Jodry and Mrs. Cleveland Green, with whom I lived and was always there for me. her remembrances are she was chosen the 19th Apple Blossom Queen of the Annapolis Valley Apple Blossom Festival.
Princess Hantsport 1948 was Margaret Harvey Forsyth Smith. Margaret was unable to be with us this evening, although she is able to attend all the other events. She's married to Richard Forsyth and has lived ever since on the farm in Greenwich. They've raised 3 children and are blessed with 6 grandchildren. In 1948, she was Princess Hantsport. The invitation to act had come from the mayor. The season was late, and it was very difficult to find apple trees in bloom where pictures could be taken. She remembers Doris Parr of Middleton was chosen queen, and the girls all felt she was the correct choice. And she also remembers the ride on the float was her favorite memory, and the train ride to Grand Pré was also special. And for those who don't know, Margaret is the daughter of one of our oldest Hantsport citizens, Zella Harvey.
Mary Lou Matart is unable to be with us tonight, but she asked me to explain the reason for being absent. It is her husband's retirement dinner. Naturally, she couldn't say no to that. Our 1963 Princess, Bonnie Ellis. I had the honor of being chosen Princess Hantsport in 1963. Being born and raised in Hantsport made this a very cherished experience for me. I was working for G.W. Bartlett's in Windsor at the time, but soon left this job to raise 2 wonderful children. During these years, I studied pottery and eventually taught adult education and started my own pottery business. As we all know, Hantsport relies on a lot of volunteers for community work, and I was kept busy with various projects, including 2 terms with the school board. With the school board conditioning under my belt, I decided to go back to school. I took a travel agent course, and I am presently manager of McDonald Chisholm Travel in Wolfville. My free time is spent on fitness, my 2 lively grandchildren, and traveling. Bonnie Ellis.
Princess Hantsport 1949 was Burl Demings Chipman, who was unable to be with us, but I would like to share that that year, Hantsport won the grand trophy and prize of $50 for their Town of Hantsport float, which was most outstanding and most original.
Pat King Sarty. Retired nurse since 1966, specializing in occupational health nursing since 1980. Since June the 10th, 1967, shared her life with her loving husband, Conrad Sarty. Very proud of their 3 sons, Peter, age 25, who is a graduate of Acadia and Tons as of March the 11th, 1995, and he has a job. Steve, age 23, who is a graduate of St. Mary's and of March the 10th, 1995, and who is drafted to the Ottawa Rough Riders. And of Todd, who is entering his 3rd year at St. Francis Xavier in physical education. Pat enjoys piano and singing in church choir. She has in the past been very involved in her Nursing Professional Association, community activities, J-sets, Kinets, Black Parents, community concert, Christian education, and has enthusiastically pursued skiing and tennis and racquetball. Presently finds the demands of a full-time job and choir are enough to keep her amused. Her favorite was definitely the Blossom weekend. We truly felt like royalty. We had so much fun staying at the Cornwallis Inn together, giggling late into the night, and being entertained so beautifully. I really enjoyed the Valley tour.
Princess Hantsport 1954, Pam Zigsworth Tracy, and she's unable to be with us this evening. Princess Hantsport 1957, Betty Dale Wellwood. Betty Dale graduated from Hantsport High School in 1956 as valedictorian. She attended Nova Scotia Teachers College, was the first college queen, was honored to become Hantsport Princess in 1957. She taught in Hantsport for 3 years, married and remained in Hantsport while raising 3 children, Susan, Jim, and Rob Vino, who also graduated from Hantsport. Director of a nursery school in Grand Pré, graduated with a diploma in child development and taught the course in the field. Gave workshops at Acadia and throughout the province, and a series of workshops by invitation at the University of Regina, to the University personnel, and to the Department of Social Services. She continued studies at Acadia and graduated in 1986 with Susan and Jim with a master's level certificate in special education. She has been teaching in Brooklyn District School for the last 16 years, most of those years with a primary class. She presently lives in Falmouth with her husband Garth, who is a specialist in air conditioning on naval ships and submarines. He's also vice president of the Nova Scotia Golf Association. She belongs to the Queens of Kings Barbershop Singers, enjoys golfing, sewing, and spending time with her granddaughter Robin. And she adds here that yes, Spike the tarantula, who's 18 or 19 years old, is still very much alive and active. Betty Dale remembers meeting so many wonderful people. She met a couple from Montreal who have remained lifelong friends. Hantsport is known for the support it gives to its own. She remembers that feeling of support and the desire to represent her town well.
Another Hantsport girl who wished to be remembered, even though she can't be here until our reunion in August. But it is Doreen Banks Fraser, and Doreen is a graduate nurse of the VG, and she married Dr. Fraser, and they now live in Killigrew, Newfoundland.
Princess Hantsport, 1959, Eleanor Rand Pickett. She was the daughter of an apple grower and shipper, grew up in Upper Canard, came to Hantsport to teach kindergarten in the fall of '58. Classes were held in the old Legion Hall until the fall of '61, when the new school building was ready. She was chosen Princess Hantsport in May 1959, married Harry Pickett in 1963 and moved to Quebec. Continued working in the field of education until retirement in 1991. She's an active member of the Protestant Chapel, where she's been organist and music director since 1969, as well as holding the positions of chairman and secretary of the chapel committee. And she notes here that she will be voting for Canada in the referendum. Her favorite memories in her reign as Princess Hantsport include riding on Hantsport's beautiful float, visiting each town in the valley and talking with the children, staying at the Cornwallis Inn with all the other princesses and the good times they shared together, shopping for clothes for the festival with the mayor's wife, Mrs. Freeman, and the wonderful support that she received from the citizens of Hantsport and the many telegrams which were sent during the festival weekend. Princess 1964, Marie Peach. After representing Hantsport in 1964, she lived briefly in Calgary and Halifax before settling in Toronto for some 26 years, returning to the homestead in Mount Denson in 1993. After a brief sojourn at Arthur Murray Dance Studios, her career life was centered around accounting, maintaining since 1977 her own practice focusing on small businesses. She has traveled extensively, the highlights being a backpacking trip in Europe and a year visiting countries around the Pacific. She is single with no children, but has managed, with no effort on her part, to become a great-great-aunt. Hobbies she enjoys are music, reading, hiking, cycling, dancing, and gardening. (1968) Princess Heather Tracy Boudreau. Heather is a graduate of the VG School of Nursing, married and mother of 3. Lived in New Brunswick for 22 years and returned to Nova Scotia 2 years ago. Works part-time in her own sales agency. And her favorite memories are having been chosen Princess Hantsport, the parade, and the tour of the valley towns. Princess Hantsport, 1970, Heather McKinnon Marshall. Heather returned to Hantsport 20 years ago after a few years in New Brunswick. She has remained interested in Apple Blossom Festival on a local level and was on the board of directors for a number of years, serving as Eastern representative. When the 2 Valley Blossom Teas were held in Hantsport, they were coordinated by her with much help from the citizens of Hantsport. Seeing over 400 people in the school gymnasium was a sight to see. I am still doing volunteer work for the municipality of Hantsport as returning officer, and at the family hardware business in Wolfville with husband Don and 2 sons Aaron and Luke. Favorite memories. In 1970, the festival was held in the Greenwood-Kingston area. The parade began in Greenwood and traveled into Kingston. They stayed at the Mid-Valley Motel in Middleton, and the coronation was at West Kings High School. She believes it was close to the last year for dancing at the Cornwallis Inn. The Monday dances were still happening, and ours was at the base in Greenwood. It seemed like such a long way from home, and it was really exciting to have friends and family show up at the dances and to stay at the Mid-Valley Motel. Princess Hantsport 1973, Peggy Clayton Sears. At the age of 7, Peggy moved from Halifax to Mount Denson. She attended school in Mount Denson and Windsor, and after graduation took a business course and has been working in that area ever since. She was married in 1974 to a terrific Hantsport guy, Victor Sears, and they have 2 great children ages 13 and 16. After living in Halifax for a number of years, they were fortunate to be able to bring their family back to the Valley area to live. Presently, along with attending to her family, she holds 2 part-time office positions. Peggy remembers the terrific reception and friendliness of everyone. They truly were treated like royalty. All the girls were terrific, had a lot of fun together, and it truly has been one of her favorite memories.
Princess Hantsport 1975, Andrea Mounts Halaz. Graduate of Acadia University and BA in Phys Ed and Recreation. Have worked in recreational field for 25 years, starting at Hantsport Memorial Pool. Lived in Edmonton, Alberta, and Wabash, Labrador, where she met and married John Halaz. They have 2 sons, Matthew 10, Andrew 8. Moved back to Nova Scotia 8 years ago to settle in beautiful Chester. Presently work for the Department of Health as a health educator. Her favorite memories are the cute RCMP officer who drove us around, wearing those great long gowns and mink stoles. The support from family and friends, the warmth of the town, spirit when giving my speeches, meeting so many people throughout the valley, sharing the pride of each community we visited, acting as an ambassador for the town of industries. (1976) Princess Mary Ann McKinnon Boyd. Married to Ken Boyd, and we have 1 daughter, Megan. I have been teaching elementary school for 19 years. Completed my BEd at Mount St. Vincent in 1992. Am currently taking my Master's in Education in Counseling at Acadia University. Am presently a soloist in the Nova Scotia Mass Choir and intervocal choir promoting contemporary and traditional Black gospel music. In June 1994, she received the Reader's Digest Leadership in Education Award, one of the 8 national winners. What a gift. Something better yet to come. Favorite memories. Developing friendships with the other princesses, especially Windsor Princess Barb Bailey and Wolfville's Princess Freda Murray. Sharing a lot of laughs. Fumbling speeches, for example, we're happy to be here in this beautiful down of Digby. At one of the school visits, we were ushered in by young boys aged 11 and 12. Most princesses towered over their escorts. My escort and I were the same height. Stand up, Mary. 1977 Princess Beverly Pettigrew Shea. After completing her schooling, she became a hairdresser. In 1984, she married Rick, and we live in Bishopville. I look after 4 beautiful children. I don't think I could ever leave Hantsport. Her favorite memories are the parades, and visiting all the towns was very memorable to me. I think the most fun and excitement to me was the July 1st weekend of 1977. The Queen and princesses went to the cottage of Effie and John Scott for the weekend. Plenty of food, fun, and sun, and I got a very bad sunburn. I remember it, Bev.
Princess Hantsport 1978, Deborah Day. Debbie lives in Hantsport with her son Alistair, who was 5 in April. She commutes to Mount St. Vincent, where she teaches. Her favorite memories come from the Princess Tea. Right in the middle of her speech, Jennifer MacDonald, who must have been maybe 4 or 5 at the time, wandered up to talk to her. It had a very calming effect, and she delighted everyone. She also remembers the children at Port Williams School singing Apple Blossom Time and dancing barefoot in the hangar at Greenwood.
Another one who wished to be remembered was Patty Ann Casey Tamlin, who was a school teacher here. Unable to be here this evening. 1981 Princess, Dawn Els Elliott. And she is also unable to be here this evening, but will be home for the reunion in August. 1981 Princess Jocelyn Elliott Robinson. Since my year as Princess Hantsport, 1981, I have been living in Brackley Beach, PEI, with my husband of 10.5 years, Dale Robinson. We have 3 children, Aaron, Sarah, and Matthew. I worked as an assistant manager at Shaw's Hotel until Sarah's birth in 1988. These days, I'm a full-time homemaker and keep busy with various school and church activities, as well as working out at the gym. And her favorite memories are, besides the Apple Blossom Festival, it would be the July 1st parade in Hantsport. Uh, 1982 Princess Paulette Newcomb, born January the 27th, 1962. I lived in Hantsport all my life and graduated from Hantsport High School in 1979. I attended Windsor Regional High School for 1 year, 1979 and 80, and then attended Acadia University, graduating with a major in biology in 1983. I attended Dalhousie Medical School. Since 1987, I have been doing family practice and obstetrics. I married in 1992. My favorite memories would have to be an apple blossom parade, as well as visiting all the schools. The kids were great. 1984 Princess Susan A. Cochran. Raised in Avonport, went to Ellie Shaw School and Horton School. Princess Hantsport, 1984, while at Dalhousie University. Presently pharmacist manager of D. Ross Cochran's Pharmacy Limited, Wolfville, Canning, and Hantsport. Married R. Cameron Cochran, July 1988. Chairperson of the PR Committee for the Pharmacy Association of Nova Scotia. Member of Hantsport and Area Business Association. Serving on the Board of Directors for PharmaSave Atlantic. Her favorite memories, the Children's Parade at the Hantsport July the 1st celebration. The kids were so much fun to be with as a princess. The Grand Street Parade was fun too because it was relaxed and I saw so many people I knew. Everyone was so encouraging. These events made me proud of the Valley. The whole festival was such a positive experience for me. It has a feel-good aura about it.
Princess Hantsport 1985, Katrina Bishop is unable to be with us, but she did compose the homecoming song, which many of you may have heard at the gala earlier this year. Princess Hantsport 1986, Krista Bishop Miles. Krista received her Master of Social Work in 1992, has been employed at the Grace Maternity Hospital, Halifax, providing counseling and support to patients and families whose infants are admitted to the Special Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. She is very involved in sports, particularly cycling, biathlon, and running, and won the 1994 Provincial Road Racing Championship, and was the team manager of the 1995 Canada Games biathlon team, which was held recently in Grand Prairie, Alberta. Krista remembers the lasting friendships that developed from her involvement in the Apple Blossom Festival, Queen of the Sea pageant, and Miss Nova Scotia pageant. She remembers driving atop Darrell Angel's beautiful convertible. Coming home to Hantsport after being chosen Queen of the Sea and unexpectedly having a welcoming parade around town atop Hantsport's finest fire department truck. Seeing the congratulatory signs around town and having her street renamed Royalty Drive. Krista also went to the Queen of the Sea pageant, where she became Queen of the Sea 1986, Nova Scotia Fisheries Exhibition and Fishermen's Reunion in Lunenburg.
1988 Princess Barbara Halliburton. I'm the daughter of Leslie and Richard Halliburton of Avonport and very much enjoy coming home to the farm whenever possible. I graduated from Horton District High School in 1985, pursued further education in Ontario, and returned to the Valley in 1987. I met my husband Mark a few weeks after the Apple Blossom Festival, in which I was Princess Hantsport, and we married on October the 5th, 1991. The education bug hit me again in 1993 when I became interested in the field of law enforcement. I returned to the textbooks along with physical training, and I'm now currently employed with a national company as an investigator in retail business. My favorite memories, definitely the most fondest of memories, are those of the camaraderie shared between all the girls and community members. We were all together to celebrate the Annapolis Valley, and we sure had fun. Along with that, it seemed that for me the whole year, the opportunities for meeting new people and seeing the valley closely and intimately were endless, something I'll cherish for life. During the Apple Blossom Festival, no one could have wished for better weather or more blossom-laden trees. Absolutely everything was wonderful. All the hard work, long hours by those involved was most rewarding.
Princess Hantsport 1989, Lisa Vaughn. After completing her duties as Princess Hantsport 1989, she pursued a career in sales. Previously, she had worked at the convention as convention coordinator for the Wandelin Inn in Kentville. Currently, she's the sales manager for Novex Software Development in Windsor, marketing barcode technology to companies throughout the Maritime provinces. In March of this year, she returned to the town of Hantsport. Being a representative for the town of Hantsport was one of the most enjoyable experiences in her life. The one thing which stands out foremost in her mind was the support and pride shown by the people in the town. She was overwhelmed by the gestures of the town people and knew that any successes she achieved was due to the self-confidence she'd gained through their generosity. And Lisa received the title of First Lady in Waiting 1989 at the Apple Blossom Festival. Princess Hantsport 1990, Joanne Caravan. Joanne was born in Newfoundland in 1969, and in 1989 she moved to Hantsport to attend Acadia University. In 1990 she was crowned Princess Hantsport, graduated from Acadia in the fall of '91 with a Bachelor of Science. Upon graduation, she did a year of continuing ed at Teachers College in Truro, proceeded to finish off her studies with an Associate of Education in Junior High Math and Science. She graduated from Teachers College in the spring of '94, and since then she's been substituting in Hants and Kings County as well as working part-time at CKF. She does find time to volunteer at schools and to tutor children. She recently became engaged in January and plans to make her home in Mount Denson. Joanne remembers being proud of the town of Hantsport and grateful for their hospitality. She remembers meeting Governor General of Canada, His Excellency Ray Natition, at the Blossom Tea in New Minas. While seated at the head table at the tea at Evangeline Middle School, she was nervously awaiting to give her speech when an unexpected visitor showed up to relieve the tension and calm the nerves, sort of. The newly arrived guest was a big black bat. It was disturbed from its nap, I guess. Everyone was quite shaken to have him flying around their heads, and were certainly glad to have someone come in with a net and catch him. Princess Hantsport 1992, Karen Hood, is presently doing a term position teaching in BC and is unable to be with us. Princess Hantsport 1993, Rebecca Price. Rebecca attended public school in Ally Shaw and Horton District, and in the summer she took swimming lessons and raced with the swim team at HMCC. At the age of 5, she began taking piano lessons from her sister Judy, but had no idea where this would eventually lead. She began composing music and at 12 won a provincial composers contest. Since then, she has won several provincial contests, one contest at the national level. For 4 years, she's been organist at the Hantsport Baptist Church. One of the highlights of her life was representing Hantsport as princess in the summer of '93. She met many wonderful people and had fantastic time. In May of this year, she will graduate from Acadia University with a Bachelor of Music degree. In fact, I think it's tomorrow afternoon. And she plans to move to Wolfville, where she will give piano lessons. There were many highlights for her summer as Hantsport Princess, but the best memory of all would be the Canada Day Parade. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and there were hundreds of people lining the streets to watch the spectacle. As her float went through town, she was so proud to call Hantsport her home and so glad that all of her visiting princesses could experience the enthusiasm of Hantsport's wonderful townsfolk.
I'm sorry, Suanna. I must have skipped a page.
Sorry. Princess Hantsport 1991, Suanna Bishop McCormick. 2 years after being chosen as Princess Hantsport 1991, she graduated from Acadia with a BA in psychology. Later that year, 1993, in September, she married Steve McCormick. In June of 1994, she received a diploma in paralegal studies. She is presently employed at the Hantsport Police Department, where she does office work. Steve is a geologist at Fundy Gypsum in Windsor. She enjoys toll painting, cross-stitch, camping, working with children, and much more. Her favorite memory during her reign as Princess Hantsport was the tour of the valley, which took place on the last 2 days of Apple Blossom Festival weekend. While visiting certain towns and villages, they made visits to the schools. The children at the schools considered them to be true royalty, asking for autographs, giving crafts and keepsakes that they'd spent a great deal of time and thought in making. She kept a scrapbook of each and every item she received, and when she looks at the scrapbook, it brings back many fond memories as Princess Hantsport.
No, I didn't forget a princess of 1958, but I'd just like to say Sharon Dewar was that princess, and since then, about a year ago, Sharon had a very, very serious illness. She's very lucky to be here, and her biography is full of humor in spite of what she's gone through, so I had to leave it until the last. Now, if I start breaking up because it's funny, representing Hantsport as their Apple Blossom Princess in 1958 was a natural progression of growing up in this wonderful town. I always felt safe, happy, accepted, and well educated. 37 years later, it is refreshing to look back at that slim, blonde, pretty girl. I wish I could have been Queen Annapolisa for you, but for me it was an honor and a memory I have carried all my life. What a fairy tale it was being a princess for a weekend. I received many telegrams of congratulation, which I still treasure, and also several telephone calls. They meant so much to me at the time, and they still do. Thank you. Her memories: a black suit with matching hat that had a white band of black polka dots, and a tea dress of gray and blue polished cotton, and a rented minx cape. Other gifts from the town were a lovely silver evening purse and an engraved trophy, which I still have. Learned how to eat with long white gloves on, unbutton slot in the back and wrist, and tuck glove in. Break up roll in small portions and butter one piece at a time. I didn't know that. I didn't like mayonnaise, so I didn't have a sandwich at the Kentville Tea, so I grabbed 2 brownies and put them on my saucer. Was I wrong? Running from an outing with the whole entourage, I caught the heel of my silver shoe in the mat in front of the Cornwallis Inn. I slipped out of my shoe and kept right on walking. Mr. Gordon came up later and asked whose shoe it was. Now, if you ever knew Seymour Gordon, you know who I'm talking about. Saw a cute Mountie at Grand Pré and walked into a pond and got my right foot soaked. Float that year had a little boy holding his thumb in a dam. A very tiring but exhilarating weekend. Cheeks hurt from smiling so much. Returning home in dungarees and shirt, Daddy holding open front door and saying, "No princess in this house." Funny, because I always felt like a princess around my daddy, Apple Blossom weekend or not. With my secretarial science degree from Acadia, I have had quite a few interesting jobs that have taken me from the president's office at Dalhousie University in Halifax to a finance office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to a secretarial job to 2 professors in the Graduate School of Economics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, Massachusetts, to a law office in Los Angeles, California, to being a goodwill representative of the Lovable Company, they sold bras and girdles, in New York at the World's Fair. Later, I went to their offices on Madison Avenue in Manhattan. Next, it was to Florida, but this time I worked for a guy in public relations in St. Petersburg, Florida. He not only looked like my dad, he talked and laughed like him also. I was with him until Tom was born. Then I transcribed for court reporters in our home for the next 18 years while our children were growing. Then it was time to learn computers, and I worked part-time for a company that researched outlet centers throughout the United States. And all this time I sang, mostly sacred music with church choirs, but over the years I've sung with bands for dances. Did some radio and TV, and even had a little combo band in Boston where we did nightclub work. In 1992, Hugh and I married. We have 2 children, Tom, 26, working part-time until he graduates this year from the University of South Florida, and Tara, 18, working part-time in a music store, an accomplished singer and flutist, and attending her first year at St. Petersburg Junior College. It has always been important for me to bring my children back to Hantsport to visit and live, even for a few weeks at a time, so that they could feel Hantsport. Tara was even fortunate enough to go to school here for a short time. 1st of July parades are important, and Tom and Tara both have participated. I met their father on July the 1st, 1952, and while serving the Dartmouth Kiwanis Youth Band lunch at the Churchill House, I spilled apple juice in his lap. We had our wedding reception in the same house. I am now living at Evangeline Beach and visit my mom on Oak Street lots.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see how much work went into the Apple Blossom Princess Reunion Committee. Effie Scott, Debbie Wolf Scott, co-chairpersons, my wife Carolyn, and Faye McGinn. And it was been an extreme effort on their part, and I would hope that you would give them a big round of applause, please. Before we move into 1995, I'd like to thank those firefighters that escorted the lovely ladies, and applause for them as well, please. And to Peter Johnson, the MC of this afternoon, an excellent job and a very popular one. We thank you, Peter. And that does bring us to 1995. And the candidates you see here before you this afternoon did a fantastic job. And as you see here tonight, they're very, very lovely. These candidates first met together on April the 1st for a Get Acquainted Tea with the Princess Committee in Princess Hantsport 1994 threesome again. They were briefed on an upcoming events and photos were taken for the Hants Journal. On April the 22nd, they met informally with Princess Hantsport Teresa. This morning they met with the judges at Churchill Manor for a reception hosted by myself and my wife Carolyn. This afternoon, I'm sure many of you met the candidates in the tea and heard their speeches. You'll have another opportunity to hear the girls speak again this evening. We've had previously submitted questions, and we'll get them come up and draw and answer those questions for you here this evening. First, Sherry Fletcher. Sherry is 19 years old. She is the daughter of Elizabeth and the late Ivan Fletcher of Mount Denson. She currently attends Windsor Regional High School in grade 12. Her hobbies include horseback riding, piano, the outdoors, and spending time with family and friends. Sherry? The answer might be on there too. What is the significance of the Apple Blossom Festival to the Annapolis Valley?
Good evening, and I welcome you all tonight. I find that the significance of the Apple Blossom Festival to the Annapolis Valley is that it exposes the valley to all other areas. And I find that it exposes, which in returns exposes, The significance of the Apple Blossom Valley to the Annapolis Valley is that it exposes the valley to all the areas, and which in return creates tourism. I find this benefits economically and socially.
Thank you, Sherry. Shauna Johnston. Shauna is 19 years old. She is the daughter of Shannon and Wanda Johnson of Hantsport. She is entering her second year of university at Mount St. Vincent. Her interests include soccer, working with children, and volunteering her time. Shauna, please. Thank you. Why do you feel volunteer work is important to our community?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Volunteer work is important to any community, and it's a good example tonight to look upon what we have come to tonight. Everybody's here because of volunteers. We would not have the Apple Blossom Festival, we would not have the teas, we would not have the community spirit that's in every community without volunteer work. Thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Angie Lynn Lockard. Angie is 19 years old. She is the daughter of Jim and Linda Lockard of Avonport. She is a graduate of Horton District High School and plans to attend Annapolis Community College. Her interests include volunteer work with children and teaching Sunday school. Angie? Thank you. If a tourist come to Hantsport, where would you send them?
Well, there are many places I'm sure tourists visiting Hantsport would want to see. I would first, however, suggest they visit the Marine Memorial Room located at Churchill House, where they could view all of the marine memorabilia. I would then suggest them visiting new parks, new walkways, as well as the Funday Gypsum Company, where they could view the gypsum boats, as well as the beautiful view of Bellomaton and Hantsport's famous high tides. And before they left Hantsport, I would also suggest them visiting the William Hall Victoria Cross Memorial, located in front of the Baptist Church here in Hantsport. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. You didn't mention the wrought iron work on the gazebo down in the park. Her father did it. Now we'll ask the judges to retire to the kitchen, and I don't know whether that means they're going to eat before we do, or... I'm only kidding, we're not eating either, are we? And my dear cousin Nola will play a few songs for you while they're making their decision. She's going to play, no, I just stay seated. This organizer is going to take off.
Your Worship, Mrs. Foker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's nice to see such a large turnout for the festivities this evening. It's been a very busy year for me. I've been busy with the Centennial, of course, working and completing my last year of studies at Mount St. Vincent University, as well as attending the various princess functions. I attended many events over the year, too many to talk about all this evening, but some of the highlights included the obvious, the Apple Blossom Festival and its traditional hectic schedule. The Friday afternoon tea was very nerve-wracking, but we made it through and relaxed for the evening coronation. The coronation was extra special for me as I was given the second lady in waiting to Queen Annapolisa the 62nd. But I must confess, princesses aren't always perfect, as you may think. Princesses have a few bloopers. Between the afternoon tea and the evening coronation, we had a dinner up at Acadia. And I don't know if Sue knows this, I see Sue here this evening, but all of us, they had us all sitting all together up top, and they had us all crammed together. And I was told about plates and forks and everything like that, and I knew all that, but nobody told me about napkins. And here's all the napkins. And we're all looking at each other, and we go left, right, left, right. Anyway, so someone started picking from one end, so then, of course, we're short on one end. So we're all under the table, giving away our napkins, trying to make up for it, so we all have one. Anyway, a few of the other events I was able to attend during my year as Princess Hantsport was the Teddy Bear Parade, Digby Scallop Days, Windsor Sam Slick Days, which in particular I remember the men's bodybuilding competition we all attended on Saturday morning, Kingston Steer Barbecue, Middleton Heart of the Valley, and Bridgetown Cider Fest in September. And of course, July 1st, the Canada Day celebrations in Hantsport. The cheers and applause of support was overwhelming. And it was an extra special event for my family, as I had all 10 princesses at my home to get ready for the parade. And the same day, I had a lot of my nieces and nephews there. I remember my nephew Alexander saying, "There's a princess, there's another one, there's another one. Why is there so many?" There are many embarrassments that can happen too, like going to McDonald's drive-thru with your chair and banner and trying to get a quick bite to eat, as well as going to the gas station trying to get some gas. But it has its advantages. I remember this summer myself, Princess Wolfville, and my boyfriend Jeff, my chauffeur that day, I called him, he was quite offended. We went to Acadia University. It was when they had the Dolores Claiborne set on. And we had just come from the Kingston Steer Barbecue, and me and Joy wanted to really see the set. So we're running out in our white gowns, and we're running up, and we can see 300 people in a lineup, and we're like, oh, we're never going to get in. And we took our jeans and sweats and things like that to change in, and then we start walking down. We're tramping down in our white dresses, and a guy comes out from security and says, hey, come on in. And I said, well, can we change into our jeans? He's like, nope. He goes, the white dresses, banners, and tiaras, what's going to get you through the door? So we bypassed 400 people and went in and saw the set. So it was great. As you can see, I had a very busy year. There are several thank yous I'd like to make, as the following organizations and people helped to make my year the success it was. The St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church Ladies Guild for their moral and financial support for the festival. I thank you. I would also like to thank the Princess Committee, Tanya and Jill, for all your help with the festivities. Once again, my attendant, Matthew Bulger, which I don't see him here this evening as well, and his younger brother, Mark, for helping me out on the parade. My float this year was extra special, as my dad put a great deal of long hours into it, as well as Mr. George Scott, June Rafuse, and Carolyn Foker, who painted the beautiful mural. Thank you for making it so special. To Princess Hantsport 1993, Rebecca Price, thank you for your advice, pictures, video, and flowers. Your thoughtfulness was greatly appreciated and needed. A special thank you to the Town of Hantsport for your sponsorship in the Apple Blossom Festival. Your well wishes, financial, and moral support was very kind and will never be forgotten. Being a princess was everything I dreamed of and more. By the more, I mean the family of friends that I have gained over the past year. I never thought my family could grow any bigger, and I never dreamed of having any more sisters, but all this happened. First, let me clarify what I mean by sisters. I refer to the 13 princesses I met during Apple Blossom. We all became very, very close. A special thank you to my roommate, Princess Kemfel, Karen Hamilton, who's here this evening. Your support, thoughtfulness, and helping me get ready and dresses and everything like that was very much appreciated, and thank you for being here tonight. To Mayor Foker and Mrs. Foker, I don't know where to begin. Your Worship, I thank you for your kind words and your jokingly way, which put me at ease during the coronation. Mrs. Foker, Carolyn, you've become a great friend and a great person to work for being the chaperone at the Apple Blossom Tea, for helping working on my float, for escorting my mom and Mrs. Evelyn Lawrence and myself to all the community teas, and your patience. Thank you. I would also like to thank you both for the luncheon that you provided on July 1st for all the princesses. They had us there for lunch, all 10 of us. And as Karen said to me this evening, I remember that delicious strawberry pie. To Mrs. Pauline Denny and Mr. Bill Denny, who are not here tonight, they helped me in many ways, and their moral support and guidance will never be forgotten. Effie, well, need I say more? I think Peter summed it up when he called her the Queen of Hantsport. I don't know how to ever thank you for all your guidance, advice, and graciousness. Thank you. Amber, thank you for being my very special friend and for helping me with my dresses, my wardrobe tea, and for all your support on coronation night. You're truly a best friend. Whew, here I go. To Anne, my roommate, thank you for coming tonight. I love you. The cards she sent me all through the summer for all my different events I have in my little scrapbook. Jeff, when my head started to swell, you managed to swell it that much more. Your pride and confidence in me meant a lot. Not only to mention missing some of those Blue Jay games to escort me to some of the events. My family. Wow, what a year, hey? I'll never forget the night I told them I was going to run. It must have been a family occasion because I remember all my sisters running around and Dad with his fingers doing the dishes and everybody's running around drawing. And I told them that I wanted to run for Princess Hantsport, and Dad just turned around and looked at me and said, "Do you really want to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." It was like a big sigh, okay. To Dad, Mom, and my sisters, thank you for all your support, especially my mom for making one of my dresses, shopping with me, putting up with my quote-unquote attitude, putting on such a gorgeous wardrobe tea that so many people enjoyed, helping me get dressed and bringing me down from the sky when I started to rise high. I remember coming home from the Apple Blossom Festival, and when they say that they treat you like royalty, man, they treat you like royalty. And I was sitting in the car that night, and Mom stopped the car and got out, and I sat there waiting and waiting and waiting. And Mom comes around, she looks at me, and she says, "I'm not opening that door." Thank you to everyone for all the numerous cards, phone calls, gifts, and well wishes. If I named you all, we'd be here all night. You know who you are, and I thank you. To the candidates, I've met you all. You're all beautiful ladies, and I wish you best of luck. For the last time, hello, my name is Teresa McGinn, and I'm proud to be representing the town of Hantsport.
Thank you so much, Teresa, and we're very proud of you. Now, I guess we have the judges back, and is there a spokesperson? And the envelopes, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Joy Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to tell you how much we've enjoyed. The Findles, Dr. and Mrs. Findle, and I have enjoyed being with the candidates. We had our eyes opened. We thought this was going to be an easy task. But of course it wasn't an easy task. And we did the thing that we had to do, and we enjoyed meeting the candidates so much. We feel as though we've benefited from this experience. We were very impressed by the fact that they're firmly rooted in their communities, and they believe that community effort and contribution is extremely important. That made us glad. We wanted to hear something like that, but we didn't expect to hear so much from all three of them. So we were really intrigued that they would all say this. They all have deep roots. Their families are extremely important to them, and I think they feel that the mother is almost the most important figure in their lives. And that made us pleased. I haven't heard that before. I know some people do say it to their mothers every once in a while, but this was overwhelming almost, and it was unanimous. And we also feel that these young ladies are all going to be a credit to their community in the future. They're all goal-oriented. They know exactly what they want to do. And we were also impressed by the fact that they want to help the young people. This is where their interest lies. And they see problems, and they see this generation coming up faced with problems. And we're just delighted that they're telling us this. So we've enjoyed this tremendously, and it was the most difficult decision to make. I have to tell you that. And we've enjoyed the hospitality of Hantsport very much. It's been a great pleasure for all of us, both Alice and John and myself. Thank you.
One thing about Hantsport, even the judges are glorious. Ladies and gentlemen, the second runner-up, Sherry Fletcher.
don't see any pins.
Is there a Boy Scout in the audience? Tie a knot. Ladies and gentlemen, the First Lady in Waiting, Shauna Johnston. And we find a defendant O.J. Simpson. No, sorry. I guess it's obvious. Angie Lockard. Congratulations there. Back. Ladies and gentlemen, Princess Hantsport, 1995.
I'd just really like to thank everybody for coming and supporting me today, this morning, and this evening. You are all a really great bunch of people. I would like to thank my community, the Mary and Katie Ladies, the Mary and Carey Ladies Auxiliary, which have supported me ever since I can remember. I'd like to thank Effie Scott. I'd like to thank my family and all of my friends who have supported me through all of this. I promise I will try to do my best to represent your town as well as I can, especially through all of the very special Centennial events this year. Thank you very, 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 very much.